have already joined us. Hello to Mohammed and Roxana. Thanks so much. Shamal is here from Iraq. Thank you for joining us. Milan, hi friend, how are you? Today is amazing webinar because we are talking about Minecraft Education Edition with one of the most brilliant Microsoft and Minecraft global mentor expert, Andy Knueven, and this is fantastic. I was looking forward so much for this webinar to learn all about Minecraft because I myself haven't used Minecraft in my classroom yet, but I really want to learn about this, and I hope that you are so excited as well. So let me tell you about what is the topic of our webinar today. We are talking about how to use Minecraft education in our classroom and how to benefit of this using. And I want to mention that some facts about our amazing guest speaker, Andy Knueven. He's my expert and my master trainer, global Microsoft Minecraft mentor, Flipgrid certified trainer, Flipgrid student voice ambassador, Flipgrid guide, Wakelet ambassador, Wakelet certified and Edu ambassador, Canvas advocate, as his school has used Canvas as their LMS for the past 7 years. It's incredible. I would love to invite Andy, but before I do that, I would love to ask you to remember that we are having our reflection space for today's session. I'm going to share with Wakelet collection with you very soon. Of course, Andy has prepared amazing resource collection that we're going to share at the end of this incredible live show. And also, I would love to mention that we have got redeem code for you. And as a virtual thank you, you can redeem this code. If you're a Microsoft expert, you've got your account, you can redeem it here, and that's how you can say thank you to Andy for his amazing tutorial. And you will absolutely be blown away by the collection that Andy has prepared for you. It's terrific. And I would love to start asking you the question, from which part of the world you're tuning from, what is your teaching role exactly, and if you've got any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box. And Andy will help you out with these questions. And please don't forget to share your insights, highlights, wows, and hows from the session and post them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or VK, and tag Mr. Coach at Andy. This is Andy Knueven and myself. And don't forget to also use the tag for Play, Craft, Learn, and the hashtag Teachers Love It. I would really appreciate that. And everyone who provided this feedback, you will get your certificate of participation. And so on this positive note, I'm going to invite Andy Knueven to this studio. Welcome, Andy.
Hey. Oh my gracious, thank you so much. And as I am seeing the names pop up in the chat, so many familiar names and people that I am thrilled to see and connect with you and share as much as I can during our time. And there's so much about Minecraft Education Edition that I would love to talk about. So, but Anna, thank you so much for having me join you today.
Yeah, I just, there are so many amazing facts about you that please explain why do we have the title for this webinar like this, because it's amazing. Can you do that?
Absolutely. So my hashtag You Can Even Learn is a mindset, essentially a thought process of one, my last name is Knueven. A lot of mispronunciations. So as I've had to share or correct or guide people on saying you can even say it, then that thought process turned into my classroom and saying, well, you can even learn, and that we can even learn whatever we put our minds to together. That it's going to be challenging, but at the same time, we can do it. And so there's a little bit of a play of words, a pun in there, of course, but yes, my hashtag, You Can Even Learn, but definitely see the benefits of using Minecraft Education Edition in the classroom.
That's really inspiring for me. And also, your wife is also Educator, right?
Correct.
Incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she teaches STEM at where we teach in the same school district. I'm a digital learning coach, previously fifth grade math and science in the middle school, which is a little unique for the grade level. They're 10, 11-year-olds being in the middle school, but I did that for 6 years. And then prior to that, I was in special education, primarily 7th and 8th graders or 13, 14-year-olds. And so, but my wife, that's actually, we met teaching together. And so now she is actually a K4 STEM teacher.
Wow. And your son is also all about Minecraft because you
Yes,
demonstrated him and inspired.
Yes, and that's one of the fun little connections. So we have 2 kids, Anna and Adam. And my son Adam, he is 7 years old, and it really sparked from seeing Minecraft as I started using it in my classroom a couple years ago, and he was seeing what I was creating on the computer, and then students completing their work. I was looking at it, and so there's always that curiosity, and then he and I started working together. He was able to have an account with our school, and so he was able to join in on the iPad, and I could play on the computer, and I host a world, and we have a lot of fun between both survival mode and creative mode. And it's almost a daily, can we play Minecraft together? And it depends on, we have to be good parents and say, do you have your schoolwork done? Do you have all these other things?
Amazing.
But at the same time, that eagerness to want to join and learn. But he'd see what my kids would do in school, and then he would go to the iPad, and he'd be like, oh, Dad, let me show you this. And he would have recreated a little minecart rail with redstone from watching what the students had done in a video that they had turned in, or a book and quill assignment that he had seen, just the pictures. And so just that curiosity to replicate what he's seen. Students, as I see with my own son, just the eagerness, the curiosity to learn and to build.
This is fantastic. And actually, you were the only one and the very first educator who showed the integration, like Flipgrid and Canva, Canva's this LMS, because you were the only one. So I learned from you. I have never known anyone who did it. And you actually, you're like an expert, the only one who I knew that time. And still, that's incredible. Your work is really inspiring. And you there. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's pretty true. So I remember you from that time when I started using Flipgrid in my classroom. So I heard about, I thought, what Canva is all about. I started to investigate, and your name popped up that time, the only name who used this, and it's amazing. Okay. There's so many educators, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube too. So if you're watching us from Facebook, we probably can't see your names, but so it's better for you to join us and hop onto YouTube channel and watch us here. You can use the live chat, or we can see the geography here, and you can grab all the resource links that are going to be there very soon. So Andy, the floor is yours. I can't wait to learn from you, and you're amazing. I've said it so many times, and I will mention this again for sure. And so the stage is yours, the mic is yours too, and good luck to you.
Oh, thank you. So let me start. Let me share over my screen. Make sure that that's part of the game plan. And there we go. All right. So the initial part of seeing, there we go, is learning about Minecraft. Is first off, you need Minecraft. You need to have the game Minecraft Education Edition. And so the initial part is going to education.minecraft.net. And that will take you to the main source, the main hub. And they've definitely done a lot of user interface updates to make it much more user-friendly to find things. I would guide my students to be needing to download it. My school, I started using it a couple years ago, and my school structure is that we have a school rental option that students can rent their devices, but then we have BYOD, so students bring their own. And so they need to be able to download it. So getting really good at guiding them to and I would link it on my Canvas page, but link the education.minecraft.net, and then simply going now up to download. And that will identify what kind of device you have. It automatically will identify what you have and recommend, say, download that. If you have a Mac, it'll say that version. And it now, even over this last really year, they added the ability for Chromebooks. And so that really opens the door to allow all students on pretty much all the popular devices to be able to access Minecraft Education Edition for the classroom. The key thing also is if your school actually is able to use Minecraft in the classroom. So I know that various schools have different requirements, and so wanting to double check that you're not sure if you are able to, you can go through to find out, does your school even have it? And that's a first big one. And if you're not sure, you can always follow up with your IT, your technical team at your district or your school corporation to be able to find out, can we even do this? I'd encourage you, please advocate for to bring this into your school. But within the Minecraft education page, there's a lot of resources. And first off, the idea of that you can get trained, and that will guide us to different resources to learn about it, to go through different courses. And in my page, I know that I'm running a lot of things going on my computer, so bear with the patience as things load up a little bit here. But going through the Minecraft Academy, be certified, learn through all the steps of it. And this actually was my first, I wanted to know, can I do this in school? Can I bring Minecraft in? And then once I got that green light and be like, yep, we can do it. We have licenses. It was like, all right, game on. And I went to the MEC, the Microsoft Educator Center. And I know I quickly changed tabs, but if you are following, learning more about Microsoft programs and platforms, I 100% encourage you to explore the MEC, the Microsoft Educator Center. And this is a space that you can look within training for courses or learning paths. And this is where they're always kind of putting out some new content and things, but I've already searched on the Microsoft Educator Center for Minecraft, and I'm looking at courses and learning paths. And I would highly recommend, and I've linked it within the Wakelet resource that will get shared out as well. I will talk about a lot of different things throughout this, and I know that I will miss a little point, but as I was brainstorming and trying to plan of what to share with everybody today, I tried to pinpoint some of those key resources and put it into the Wakelet resource for you to backtrack and find. But this Microsoft Educator, or the Minecraft Education Edition Teacher Academy, this is a brilliant course, this learning path to get started. It's a lengthy one. I will be honest that when I started this was I wanted to make sure that I read all the details. I wanted to watch the videos, and then even have Minecraft to be able to practice it myself. It's very thorough. It breaks it up into chunks, into different levels of readiness, I guess you'd say. And so let me jump back in. There we go. So we have different modules on what you can do, but there are 11 courses within this learning path. So I highly encourage you to explore that to get started. And there's different applications that you can focus in on within Minecraft. There's resources, coming back to the education.minecraft site, different resources on posters that you can bring in. Here's those trainings that I was just referencing, these will guide you straight to that MEC page. And then definitely connecting. The community is amazing. The tech support, I've been able to reach out, and their team are phenomenal people, really understanding, and they want to support educators to bring this into the classrooms. Because I will say, when I first introduced it to my school district and then talking to other teachers, the idea of, well, are we wanting to bring in a game that, it's the most popular downloaded game, like billions of kids, and it's an amazing platform, but it's not just a game, but a learning experience. And I can't stress that enough, of the idea that you can incorporate many different concepts and topics within it, and we can find a lot of those that have already been pre-made. And there's within the education.minecraft.net page, Teach with Minecraft, and then Explore Lessons. And within this space, we can find already pre-made lessons that have resources linked to it. It gives you some descriptions and some details. You can search based on specific content. And a lot of these are also found within the actual game. But there are even more within the website here that you then can download and bring in. They're adding more all the time. So within the library in the game, and I'll show that as well in a little bit. But there's even more within the website here, if you want to even search for one. So a little while back, if I wanted to search the moon, because I was teaching about moon phases, and so I just searched moon, and it's going to bring up some different resources here on some different topics. You could just click. And so let's say I want to learn about, I think this is the one I'm looking for, about the moon and NASA's
wow, this is fantastic.
And so we have already the breakdown of like what the lesson is. So talking about what the objectives are. It really goes into details, and these are all, reviewed and vetted, looking at different details here. And then we can say, oh, I want to download it. I want to open it. Ben Kelly is a phenomenal Minecraft person, definitely to connect with. And on the Wakelet resource, I've got a whole slew of educators and people that I would recommend connecting, following, to learn more as well.
And can I add my 5 coins, as we say in Russia?
Totally,
Yeah,
yes.
I just want to say that this is the very first Wakelet resource collection from our guest speaker, where lots of where they shout out to such a great number of other educators. So this is all about your university. Thank you so much. It's lots of content that you can follow too. It's amazing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing is, I mean, Minecraft is a place, a platform, a game, and I'll keep using the word game because it's fun. I mean, learning should be fun, as games should be, but that I have utilized and referenced so many people and searched, and even in that resource, I even have my Minecraft movement that I shared. I created a sway of how I started this at my school, how I started to learn, and I'll talk about that here in just a little bit as well. But our kids, our students, they are our experts. There will never be a time that I can ever achieve the amount of gameplay, of crafting, of building in Minecraft that my students will have. It just is a phenomenal concept that I just have to learn to accept. And when I started out, they were the people that I learned from. And even to the point of, let me see if I can even jump to that as quick as I want to. Stellar. All right. And so we are going rogue. We're bringing this in. And so this was part of the Wakelet resource here. But this broke down and I was
For
supposed to go to,
marketplace. Oh,
yeah, so I was supposed to go to Australia with a whole amazing slew of other educators, and then we with E2, and so this was what I was going to share at that time. But this really breaks down, how I incorporated bringing Minecraft in, a little bit more detail within that space, what it does. I'll come back into some of these details because we have definitely hit 22nd century learning skills. I mean, the 21st century CLD, CLS. I mean, those are. I mean, we have to utilize that, but we are now hitting 22nd, and we have
yes.
to understand that AI is part of our environment and incorporating those kinds of things. But I'm not going to, obviously go through all of these things. But this Flow
Wow.
Friday was this was my little baby at school as I started, and so I work with phenomenal people. I'm very fortunate to learn and work with different educators and colleagues. But my group of teachers when I was in 5th grade, we had a homeroom at the beginning of the day, the time frame, and the idea of we wanted to pursue more student agency, that they had passions and interests that we just weren't able, or we wanted to encourage and pursue.
Wow.
And so each teacher, there's 10 of us. We have about 300 kids in just 5th grade within my building there. And each of us had created a topic that we were going to teach for 9 weeks and have that as an option. And so the students, I had picked Minecraft. And so I had students that they, this was my class. I mean, it was packed. And
They're all so engaged,
Oh,
like,
it's
fantastic.
fun. And I learned a lot utilizing in Minecraft Education Edition. There are unique blocks that are only in the Education Edition. Some of them, and I'll point out some of them as we go through this stream today as well. But even in this little slide here, there are these little red blocks, and they're barrier blocks. And so, I mean, you think about having a classroom of students, that some students, being in a host world, we have to learn to work together. And so this was an area that I could kind of have some virtual control of students where maybe they were going off and wanting to do something. I could kind of have them be in a contained space. They can't go beyond those barrier blocks. But their creation was phenomenal during that time. And I'll show in the game that there are already pre-made worlds that you can use. One of them is a labyrinth world. And so I don't want to necessarily go to that tweet, but that showcase it here. But that there's labyrinths. And so students then spun off of that pre-made world and created labyrinths and mazes of their own, and then built in little booby traps and different things that turned almost into like an escape world that they would host and then have other students join to see if they could navigate through their maze.
Wow. So they can collaborate like in real time in the same space.
It is phenomenal. And that is actually
That's nice.
A saving point of even, I'll come back to as well, of learning more about Minecraft. And I mean, yeah, you can host a world, and that multiplayer, and actually Minecraft they just released, and I mean, they phrased it the GOAT update, GOAT GOAT update, but there's actually the acronym like greatest of all time. I mean, it is like, this has just overhauled a whole lot of great features in Minecraft. But one of the features that they updated in Minecraft was updating maxing the maximum number of players that could be part of the game. It used to be only 30, and that included you as the teacher. And so I mean, I don't know about some of your classes. For the people watching, if you have more than 30 kids in your class, or if you have 29, you've maxed it out. So they've updated that now to 40. And so, it's an improvement. It's a great plus. I will stress or give a little emphasis of when you have more people in the game, in the world, it does become a little bit more choppy or laggy. So there is a little bit of a plus minus, part of that. But a big part of having a multiplayer world is having some sense of control and respect for each other. Respect is one of my biggest focuses, definitely in my classroom, but with everybody around the world. But respect. And so my students, we had created a charter, and this is exactly what that charter is that we had created here. Excuse me. And saying, we respect others. We're going to respect property of others. And just like in real life, if it's not yours, let it be. You don't walk around other people's desks and start messing with stuff or their lockers and, things. So students would store things like in chess. Well, just like in school, you don't go through other people's bags and, items. And so, but we created a sense of how we are going to behave in a virtual world, just like we are in a physical world with our peers here. And this was a really great discussion point for my students to be able to create that together. Yes, absolutely. I see in the chat there, Michael.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I just wanted to highlight that students should definitely be involved in the creation of the charter.
They need ownership
Absolutely.
of it, 100%. Speaking nicely, calm bodies, because people get so into it. And the idea that students can work together collaboratively is really big, and actually became a really great part of using it. And I'll come back to the SEL part of it, because that was really great. But,
yes, I didn't know about that too.
There's actually, and I'll scroll back through here. Esports is a ever-growing focus. But in Minecraft, there are actually competitive spaces. And the idea of having what they're called make model worlds. And there's different themes to some of those worlds. But my students, they would build. And so this is a little clip. And we'll see if this will stream well. But that they would connect and share. And so this is my classroom. And I say, if you kind of getting a visual perspective. So my classroom last year. So this is actually during our pandemic teaching. Is my audio coming through? Of my computer?
No. We can hear it. Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's little chatter with my students talking to each other. And so in this space, there's two different teams. And so at the beginning of the game, they stand on a certain platform. And then I, as the game controller, I hit start and they get zapped to their build areas. And so the yellow team is building in this space. The green team is building over in this other space here. And my students are all building in class. But the best part about it is that I had I think probably another 5 to 10 kids at home remote learning last year. And they were connected into this as well. And so it was just amazing to be able to have group projects that students could work in school and at home collaboratively on the same thing. And we did this numerous times throughout the year with ecosystems, with Rube Goldberg projects, and I'll show that here in a little bit too. And so the remote connection concept was golden. So the beauty of that for sure. And yeah, I mean, some of my favorite class pictures actually come from Minecraft. And so I would, go up and take a picture of my group all together. Yes, and yeah, other roles. I see the pinged or the highlighted comment there. I said, Michael, you're on fire. Great to see you, bud.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so actually the idea of connecting my students in Minecraft actually started, the biggest push started during the initial quarantine pandemic at the beginning of everything, March of 2020. And so I actually found and connected with, and I mean, I can't thank him enough. But Stephen Reed is a phenomenal leader in the Minecraft Education Edition. I've linked him in my Wakelet, but he had hosted these live streams talking about how to build different things in Minecraft and in the Education Edition. And I was like, all right, we're everybody's remote now. How can I harness that idea and now connect my own students to this? And so one of my initial first things that I did with my students during the quarantine, because we're still learning, was incorporating Minecraft into their learning. We were talking about matter. And so there's an amazing chemistry world in Minecraft that I would have my students navigate through. But some others that one big one that I built in conjunction with my students. I would host a Teams call, and my students would watch. And I initially started that. I kind of navigated through talking through these concepts. I built this triangle world, talking about all different attributes and characteristics of how to classify triangles based on angles or side lengths. Angle measurements or side lengths, but then my students then were like, well, I had them join. And so they navigated that space. And then that evolved into this whole other area of building based upon, classifying based upon the number of sides. So we built this entire world and had my students be able to navigate this. And this was March through May of 2020, that they were at home and they could join in and see, and it gave a sense of connection again, even in a virtual sense. And so that it's just a really, I just love it so much of it. That's so cool to kind of have those little memories of it too. So anyways, the idea of incorporating different lessons and different things into Minecraft is very important. And so like the SEL, social emotional learning, mindfulness is a very big focus of recognizing our whole students and taking time to recognize our own thoughts and emotions. And so there is, in the Minecraft library, there are already pre-made worlds, but one of them is called the Mindful Night. And this was so great to one, do with my students prior. I mean, this world had just came out, and just before the initial March of 2020, as my class, we did this as a class activity altogether. But then even following it over last year, and as I incorporated it with my my group back in school, as in my Flow Friday homeroom group, they also have this other world called Modeling Gratitude. And it simply starts off with these two little empty shell little hubs, and you craft a space that identifies, when was a moment that you felt grateful or appreciative of somebody else or of something that had happened. And so you build this scene. And it's one of the first activities that I would have my students do. One, to build a sense of what kind of mindset I want to encourage is a sense of appreciation for each other and for moments, and to create these little scenes like that. But also, it really goes into a great depth on how to use Minecraft. And so we students were plugging in NPCs, and NPCs are player characters. They're not playable. They're just characters in the game that you then can add content to. And you can add links or buttons, or even add in some extra coding to it. And so utilizing some of these pieces are really great to be able to share uh, or to learn how to navigate and use the game. And over the last year, I then started creating small little how-to Flipgrids, and even made a Flipgrid topic that I made all these little how-to things, and my students then could reference as they built within their projects. Because remote teaching last year, I had students in class and I had students at home, and I taught everybody live at the same time. So that concurrent style of teaching. And we were full force. And so the idea of, I wanted to bridge their learning together, but I also wanted to make sure that I was being mindful of people that may have not been able to listen or hear a lesson or something like that. So making these little how-tos, and students could go back and reference, oh, how do I use Book and Quill? How do I place and edit an NPC? And so these small little steps allowed it to kind of piece together. So if a student's like, how do I do that again? I could give them the Flipgrid link, or they started to learn to do that themselves. But how to, do certain little tricks or things within Minecraft. And for some of our viewers and listeners, some of you I have been so fortunate to connect with in previous interactions and things. My character is a Avenger, but Nick Fury, because he has an eye patch. And last year, last July actually, July 2020, I was diagnosed with Bell's palsy. So the left side of my face just was paralyzed. It stopped working. And so I taught with an eye patch, and so having a little bit of identification with certain Minecraft characters that I could incorporate here. So if you're curious as to what's going on, or if you're hearing me talk, or you're seeing some difference of what's going on, but that's kind of the background of where that's at. I'm luckily having a lot of progress, but at the same time, there's still some residual kind of things. But at the same time, it allowed me to be able to share things and also not have to repeat myself as I would try to support my students to learn. They could go back and rewatch some of these recordings. So all of this, it's a whole nother resource within a resource.
Wow, so incredible. To me, Minecraft was like, okay, some blocks, really, but now I can see like the universe. With those ideas that you implemented to like in your teaching and learning as well. So it's wow.
Absolutely. And I'm going to jump into the game actually to show a couple examples of some different things that I had made to showcase. But I will stress one, it's massive, is Minecraft Education Edition. They just released. It is awesome. I've already worked through, navigated the whole space. But Hour of Code, the last few years, they've actually made an entire world in Minecraft Education Edition for Hour of Code. And this year is called Timecraft. And so this is a great connection across multiple curriculums, talking about history. And the idea that if a moment in history had not occurred, obviously our current present would be totally altered. And so as I navigated this space, you start wanting to connect and say like, oh, I know that person that they're referencing. And so there's a lot of resources that you can extend the learning. And I tweeted just out about that. But within this Hour of Code, they have resources that you can do. And I would encourage that if you are looking at trying to use the Hour of Code within your class, start with this PowerPoint. Start with this pre-made presentation on navigating it and how to do this with your students. and it focuses. It's really great, timely. I don't know if scheduling our time to share today is intentional as we lead into the idea of we have Computer Science Week coming up, and a lot of really great things. There's actually a Flipgrid. I love Team Flipgrid. They have a plug there. Flipgrid Live event here coming up soon as they discuss the background of Minecraft, and so definitely encourage connecting there, as computer science is such an essential thing that we can definitely bridge more people, that everybody can code. Everybody can be a computer scientist, and it's for everybody, both boys and girls. And we need more girls in code, more girls in computer science. So encouraging that usage. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So this hour of code, phenomenal space. I would encourage you to navigate that, and I can actually jump into that here in just a second. Let me see if there's anything that I was missing on just the initial navigation of things. But very cool. All right, yeah. And the idea is I started to navigate into Minecraft and using it within my classroom. It actually, let me actually change what I'm sharing. I'm going to jump over to Minecraft itself. And
Andy, here is the question, probably from Nagla. I would ask on competition for Minecraft. Can you tell some of advice to make the world and help my student? Like competitional kind of world, or
ask on competition for Minecraft.
Yeah. So here's the question.
Can you tell some other advice to make the world? All right. Oh, let me just, I'll show you kind of an example of how I used it there, and incorporating it within the instructional part of things. And I'm just going to share. There we are. All right. And and this should be.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, excellent. Yeah, and if you haven't updated Minecraft, if you haven't opened it in the last month, I'd encourage you definitely to go in and check out. There's a new update that gets you to the version 1.17.30. So I'd encourage you to definitely make sure that you are in the most current update. If you start your Minecraft and it doesn't look like this, then you need to update. As simple as that. So
are there any requirements like for the device or?
Yes, and those
Windows?
are actually, there's a minimum system requirements page. I definitely encourage you to check out the education.minecraft.net page. They'll have those system requirements on there, just to ensure that you're working with something that can support it. All right, so diving into it, let me actually, so there, right from the very start on the homepage, there was that hour of code, but there is the worlds that you automatically that you can make, and then, or that you make or have been in, and then there's the view library. Oh, let me rephrase what I just said. This view my worlds are for the worlds that you have started and been building in. If you have joined a world as somebody else hosted it, so if I hosted a world for my students, just because they were part of it doesn't mean that it'll show up in this area. So I wanted to rephrase what I had said there. But in there's the library, and all of these are found on the education, or the Minecraft education website, but there are already ones in here that you could definitely start using. This esports category is in here, which is a really great one. They already have some different styles in here, but this make and model was a really great series of worlds. And I mean, it's like like a rabbit hole, but like once you click in, you're like, oh, that doesn't look like much. But then you click in, you're like, whoa, there's so many things in here. And I mean, some of these are brand new, like this binary builders world. That's a new one I haven't even jumped into. but I will say, keep in mind, look at what you're looking at here. So like this plaza times 12, that means that there are 12 different build areas that you can have students work in. This one's 4 by or a 2 by 2, so 4 different build areas. But the initial first ones that students were kind of working in, that space one was one I had in my Sway presentation. This splat racers. I'll jump in here real quick. So once you go in, again, it breaks down showing description, learning objectives that you can do on the teacher side, because this is not this. I mean, the students can get to these worlds in Education Edition, but for the teacher, you have the ability to then assign or share. And this is amazing. This is a new little plugin that you can take this, and if you're utilizing Teams, you can click that and it will then ask you what team class do you want it to go to. Yes, you can host. I see George's comment there on so caught my eye. Yes, you can host a world on an iPad, through a data hotspot, but not from a local network. It has worked. Like I've had students host worlds that they've joined as they were building in my Flow Friday, my homeroom group. But then also my son, he's hosted a world on his iPad that I then join. And so it's doable. I've seen success in that. So on the assign or share, yeah, you can share straight to Teams. If you're Google Classroom School, you can do that. You can email that link out, or just copy that and send. This add a resource. Oh my gosh, when we get into World on Me, I'll have to dive into that one. So it is so cool. This is just like the best of both worlds with Minecraft and then Flipgrid. We can do amazing things for our students. Yes, my son, he started at 6, and it was just mind blowing of seeing what he was doing. And he's like, "Hey, Dad, do you know how to make a ladder?" And I was like, "No, if I could find it." He's like, "I know how. Let me show you." Boom, 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 boom. And he was so proud of himself on knowing how to craft things. And so it is so cool to see students get so excited about it. All right, so being the first time I just clicked in this, yeah, so it's going to bring in all those resources, all the details to make the world work. So this is like a make and model esport kind of world. And so when you start off, and some quick navigation, and you can always, there's all kinds of great tutorials, but when you first start, you'll notice that on your screen, there are some little Q kind of supports. The H show controls in the bottom left corner of the screen. When I first started, I lived off looking at that screen. And now it's just second nature. You start learning it. But yeah, the WSAD kind of keys to navigate forward and backward. And then your mouse. Your mouse is like your eyes. So I can look around, but I'm not actually moving my feet. So think of the keys as your feet and your mouse as your eyes. Now, and I can, fly up, and I can double tap to fall back down, or I can use the shift to gradually move around. And then the inventory, that little set of blocks at the bottom, that's your inventory. So if you wanted to add items to it, there's the E button. And I give a shout out to Mike Colangelo. He's an amazing artist, sculptor, but he's another Minecraft guru. He taught me the idea of saying, it's the everything Tory, because everything is in there. For the inventory to remember, E for inventory is because everything is in there. So we have all of our items. And so I will say a small little shortcut that I had learned. If you hold down the shift key on your keyboard as you're doing Minecraft in the inventory area. And then I want to put this, let's say I want to put this red stained glass in here. I can hold down shift on my keyboard and click it, and it automatically shows up in my inventory. So instead of clicking and dragging down each of those items, I can quickly go through and say, oh, well, I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that. I feel like I'm in a grocery store walking down the aisle and be like, yep, 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 yep. And so anyways, so I've got my items there. And so this world, I mean, your students, they start off on these little platforms. And as the host of the world, or as the game master, you could say, whoever's on those platforms, when you hit start, they then get teleported to the build area that's here. And, you know, as the game master of it, you can click to add more time. And so if I want to add 10 minutes, it automatically shows up there. At the end of that time, then there is a little 2-minute voting time period that whoever is standing on, or however many people are standing on the voting area, this little glass area, that then shows a point. So if I fly up, you'll notice it goes back to 0. I come back down. And so this was really great to be able to have students have some competitiveness, but to do it within school, I actually had an esports style of building, and we actually, to have a theme, we were in that space race one, and I had them build a model in groups. So they joined, they were already set into that build area, and they built, they had to build a space rock. Now, if you teach science, you may know that, well, we have meteors, we have asteroids, we have comets. And what are the differences? Well, there are actual descriptive differences of those space rocks. And so they had to craft this model in that space, but utilizing other things to identify, like a comet. They had one really great one they showed, they put glass and beacons on it to make it look like it lit up. But because comets actually have ice that's melting off, and that's the tail behind the comet. And so they utilize the concepts of how they identify some of these objects in Minecraft. And so in the voting part, it had to be identifiable based upon the criteria of those terms. So just an example of how you can bridge it using the esport concept into your classroom. Now, excuse me. Let me look into, as I was trying to look through, what are some things that I had done for my classroom. First off, the idea of the back to school world is another really great one that students can use to kind of just getting a starting point, but you also can start talking about some digital citizenship concepts. I'll let this page load. And so this was another one that last year I used because we talked about digital citizenship, both in the Minecraft virtual world, but then in general with each other in such a digital age that we are in. And how do we interact with each other online? How do we deal with replying or interacting with people in a virtual sense? And so in this space, there's actually a series of blackboards in here that kind of are a great, let me get rid of those controls. There we go. So, oh, my phone on the side, it picked up my Siri phrasing. Anyway, so yeah, so talking about using appropriate websites and don't share personal information. So you can use these for instructional purposes to talk about how do we interact with people in a virtual sense, and interacting, talking to the different characters, And so it says like, oh, how should you do this? And so, well, you could tell the teacher, give a password. So this character here is a non-player playable character. It's an NPC. And so as a builder, you can code them, or you can create them to do certain or have certain script there, but then also some of them you can have them have a button like we just saw with this one. Well, if I'm going to give the password to tell the teacher, so they can click it and it'll then have something else occur. And so like we just had this like correct anyone, so we get some feedback on it too. So that's a pretty cool feature that you can do. This was just a fun way to let kids showcase their skills, because kids want to show what they can do in Minecraft. You'll find out how many of them are actually playing outside of school and doing things. Let me jump into some of these settings real fast. So first off, in settings, we have a really great feature in here now in Minecraft, and it's within Classroom. So we have our world, we have our game settings. So creative means that you can fly, you can have endless items in your inventory. Survival means that you have to truly like craft and build everything. You have to eat and do all those things to survive. The difficulty, peaceful, means there are no creepers or zombies and all that stuff. But then you can increase that difficulty. So that's what that part is. But the really great new addition here is this classroom component. That allows you to control certain criteria to say, oh, I want to allow commands to occur. Always day is nice in the classroom. You don't have the day-night cycle. But this gold mine down here, oh my stars. This is game changing. So this is where we can incorporate Flipgrid or other resources, but Flipgrid is my first go-to. When I saw this, it was like, boom. It's like, oh, right, we can do this. And so if I wanted to put a Flipgrid in here, so let's say I'm going to put in
into the world, so you can integrate this into the world.
Yeah, so I'm going to take, I already have on the side tab here, I'm going to paste in the Flipgrid, so student voice ambassador Flipgrid page, this topic. And so then this button name, we're going to call this Flipgrid S. Flipgrid S.
I really love this integration that you've done, like when you inserted this Flipgrid to Sway. That's great. I haven't done this before, so I'm going to try.
Yes, yeah, you could link anything. So maybe you wanted your Sway. You wanted students to always have access to a Sway or a Wakelet. Maybe you want them to be able to take it's a collaborative Wakelet that you're using for your classroom. With the new Wakelet Classroom feature that you can incorporate, build your community in that space. You can then take that collaborative link for Wakelet, paste it in here, and then in the student side. So let me come back. So this is now saved in here, and oh, look at that. So when students, so if I were hosting this world or I shared this world with my students, when they hit escape, this button is now accessible. So now when they click this, then it's going to open this link, and that page, and of course I am not sharing my whole screen. So that page opened separately. I'm not going to.
Yeah, I got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it'll open up in a new tab. And so it takes them straight to that resource. So maybe you want them, you have a topic that you want them to screen record in Flipgrid on what they built here. And so that classroom feature was before last year at the beginning of the year, that wasn't part of this. And so you can take that link. I had students screen record in Flipgrid, and they'd have Minecraft open, go to Flipgrid, use a screen recorder in Flipgrid, and go back to Minecraft and do that. Well, here they can click this, click on this, it'll take them straight to that topic to screen record in Minecraft. So
that's what it is.
yeah.
Oh, Andy, there's a good question. It's about inclusivity and accessibility again. How you can write by Arabic in Minecraft? Is it possible to write in Arabic language? I've seen the immersive reader icon there. I know there are lots of things.
Yeah, there is immersive reader
you can do there.
And actually, I believe there is a. Let me find, and maybe there is a
profile. It's the settings must be like fixed in the browser or in the program itself. Where exactly? So probably in the program, I guess.
Yeah, let me.
If there are any settings.
I know that you can default the language, and I know that they're working on a variety of different language options in Minecraft, but getting to setting that default language to it. Now, writing in Arabic, and this is going to be, I will say, yeah, so accessibility, I've had students that maybe some keyboards just don't work, and so they reassign what keys do certain things. And it just helps in that way. But
default settings, no? Okay.
Oh, language. It's down at the bottom. I'm sorry. Yeah. Settings, scroll all the way down to the bottom. Why? Yeah, of course. Why would we not find language settings in the language category? Yeah, so we can come down here. Now, I will say, as I see that initial one, so it would be something that if you aren't seeing, a native language that you're looking for, then I would definitely encourage reaching out to the Minecraft support to be able to at least be aware of that interest of it. Oh my gosh, an hour has already passed.
That's fine if you've got some extra time for us. That's totally
yeah, I've got a little bit more time. I'll jump into a couple small things here.
Yeah, we're happy to learn from you. So it's only about you, your precious time. So you decide, to stay or
no, for sure. So I will say that a great plug again to Stephen Reed. He is a phenomenal teacher, supporter, educator of within Minecraft. But watching his streams and connecting with the Minecraft community, I will say that I learned, one, to play the game, learn to do this especially if you're new, and to be able to tinker with it. And so the ability to learn how does the game actually work. And so we can essentially break it apart to learn on the innards of how things are. And now this is, I will say, this is beyond the blocks kind of stuff. And it did take a long time to kind of figure out these little things. But if you are looking at the stream, my background that's behind me.
Yeah, I love it.
That is actually a screenshot, of course, of Minecraft in here. And so obviously, if you saw that stream of me playing, or I was recording my students before, that's my classroom. That was,
wow.
I'm not in the classroom anymore. I jump between buildings, but this was my classroom. It's how my desk was arranged. I have my little Flipgrid voice pod in there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So many details, personal ones. And this is great. Absolutely.
And so my classroom is titled, it was my theme of saying is a highway to learning, that minds are always under construction. And also signs, construction things, road infrastructure like that, that's all stuff that everybody can relate to. It's not, gender specific. It's something that we can see anytime we go out in public or going about. So I recreated my classroom, one, to be able to show students kind of like how the room looked. I obviously walked around with my camera to show my students how my room was, but I then was able to kind of have a virtual class in a virtual class. And so these were all, I found the file of paintings and imported my own images over those paintings. And so when I placed a painting, it then plugs that in that space. And so because paintings are all based upon a certain number of block arrangement. And so I can only place certain ones in certain spaces. And so
wow. So you added these posters like PNG or picture, or just, as you mentioned, blocks. So I need to figure this out.
So that is, it's all actually within, and there's, I mean, having a resource pack, and not, like I said, this goes beyond basic.
Yes.
So if you're just watching this and you're like, whoa, this is not like how to incorporate this in the classroom. Like, this is like, there's more innards of Minecraft. And files that make it do what it does. I mean, there's a whole slew of how-tos on how to recreate certain things in Minecraft, recreating certain blocks and things. This is another one of recreating some code or some of those blocks. So it's like hard code of like what the file it's associating to be. So think about like your computer, like if you wanted a certain shortcut to be a certain image, a certain picture, you've selected that picture to say, that's what I want it to be. Well, in Minecraft, it's looking for a set file for to say that block should look like that. And so there's a whole slew of files in Minecraft in a world, because a world file is actually just like one big zipped file. So using some different resource packs, you can kind of extract those files and recreate or recolor or redesign what those blocks look like. And seeing and learning from, you know, amazing minds like Stephen Reed and Becky Keenan, they're all in there. But learning that, this then sparked the idea of, well, I could do that with certain blocks like paintings. Can we do that with other blocks? So this is what I call my party snow. And so this is snow that has been recolored to individual pixels to look like confetti. And then the snow blocks, and they actually do like build, like it'll stick and be like those colors, that little confetti snow. And so you can, I mean, there's a whole, it takes a lot of trial and error, I will be honest. This is not like a one and done moment of like, oh, I'm just going to walk in and redo this. So,
yeah, I just was about to ask you that.
There's a lot of time that goes into learning the innards and tinkering and be like, oh, if I change it here, what's that going to look like? And even to like, I would love to learn. I've had one like success of this. So this is like my me NPC. And so I made myself to, what I look like. I got my, Flipgrid t-shirt, and I love OneNote. It is truly a wonderful thing. So I've got my OneNote tape. So redesigning, and there's like third-party things that you can use to do these kinds of things. And so it's just one of those small little things that as you start, you can then, I mean, it's an infinite ceiling. So low threshold, infinite ceiling. And I am afraid I think I have too many things running. I might have to close out of Minecraft and then come back into it. But
I have already shared with the resource collection. So if you joined us on YouTube, you probably have already seen the link to the Wakefield resource collection that Andy has prepared for you. Don't forget to add your comment your feedback to our reflection space. This is another collection that I've already shared as well. And please do redeem the code if you're Microsoft expert, because that's how you can prove your learning today, and you can get your points for this incredible tutorial. Okay, just I want to make sure that you will that you remember these things. Okay, these steps are really great to take. Thanks everyone for taking them. And I just want to read out this comment from Farid. Wow, that's so amazing, Andy. This is true. Sorry for
Farid,
interrupting
you are a rock star. I love seeing the stuff that you post.
Videos, yeah.
And say, I think I'm going to lose my stream there. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, you are a rock star. I love seeing the stuff that you post, and like this is like that's the best thing about our PLN, our digital world, connecting with people, is that the world is such. I mean, it's so big, but yet we can really benefit and learn from each other, and learn that our community bubbles are very similar and different. I mean, they're very different in different ways, but yet similar at the same time. And bridging those connections to each other, working, learning is so awesome. So I love seeing these names that are there. But Farid, oh, dude, you're a rock star.
Yeah. How do you do this? Every word is so inspiring. That I don't know how you do this. Every time when I hear your speech, it's really incredible. I've seen so many comments about that. How amazing teacher you are! What amazing teacher you are, and that everyone wants to be your students. Yes. So I felt this way too, because I've seen your virtual classroom and everything that you do. All the ideas are incredible ones. And there was a question from Nagla. She asked about the background picture that you've got, but actually Andy has shared that this is a screenshot of his virtual classroom that he has created on Minecraft. Yes, in Minecraft.
Yeah, like, are you talking about like the one around me?
Yeah, I think about this one. Okay, you can correct me.
Yeah, so like, and I mean, we're in how to get the prints from the program. So that's in, I mean, it's breaking down the innards of the game. So you there's, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the resource pack, but essentially you export the game, the world file, and then you extract that world. So you're unzipping that world file, and then there are individual files in there that you can change. And so then when you zip it all back together and then rename it to be an MC world, it will then open it back up into Minecraft as a world file. So it's, I mean, like I said, there's some tinkering that goes along with, finding the associated files and things to be able to change the picture of that. I'm trying to think of if I can even navigate to it fast enough to not just have a blankness of time here.
Yeah, that's the perfect way when we can see a real tutorial in real time. This is incredible, because I told you, to me Minecraft was like blocks. Why do I need this block? What? And you started with the showing with the keyword like moon, how it works on Minecraft. And I think it's in every subject you can actually use Minecraft in the classroom. Like, I don't see any limits for
no, I mean, there's I mean, you can do it something very basic of just model something, have your students create and craft a design of something. I had that as an option. And that's also the thing, is give it as an option, not a requirement at the beginning, especially if you're just learning it. But I had students make ecosystems, and they had to make food webs. And actually I think there's an example of that within the Wakelet resource, but I let Flipgrid, well, I use Flipgrid as the main hub of things, but I use Minecraft as an option that students could craft their food web to show and design an ecosystem. And so students, they either actually crafted out an image of those animals, or they used the mobs that are in Minecraft and then blocked out arrows to say, that the salmon is going to be eaten by the ocelot, and they had like pinned in a fencing for an ocelot, and then they had a little aquarium that they put salmon in, or fish, and to say like how certain mobs interact with each other. And
Yeah.
you had bamboo that then the pandas would then go to, and just showing food webs and styles like that.
Like the real world. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
100%.
in a virtual way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, another shout out from Farid. Thank you, Anna and Andy. You are doing incredible job. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Sharing wonderful things. I tell you, you just need to go through this amazing Wakelet resource collection from Andy. This is epic one. Wow. Thank you, Sergey. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Oh, so I think I might be able to do this real quick. I'm not going to be able to like import it into the world, but I'll be real short and sweet of what we're doing here. All right, we're just going to do that whole screen. All right, good stuff. All right, so so like in the world, then you've got this essentially like this is like everything that's in the world, and so in the file, then we have our different blocks, and so part of it is just finding what it is, but there is then a painting file, and so it's associating, looking for a specific image, and so think of it as like a key. I mean, a physical key has little ridges, and so this graphic that's here is the key that Minecraft is looking for, to say, all right, for a single block, it's going to place one of these images. And then for a 1x2 block, it can place these. And a 2x2 block, it's going to place a variety of these. And so you've seen these paintings in Minecraft, but what you then can do, and what I did for like my classroom one, was it is. Then I simply took a PNG file and elsewhere, and I copied it in to replace those blocks. And so I just plugged it in and then kind of reshaped it over those blocks that I had. So the fuchsia purple ones have to stay there. You can't do anything with those. But these other ones I plugged in. So when I placed the painting, it then found one of those options to say it's a 2x2, and so it then I would cycle through those to say it's going to be that one. So that Flipgrid voice pod is how it got there. To help, can I send a name? The web to help your student to do this, like to do these picture kind of things. I believe that there could be some tutorials on changing those paintings. I would say the wonderful world of YouTube and Google has saved so many things. Reassociating paintings there's a lot of things out there on reassociating the paintings and stuff like that, importing your own. But yeah, once you do that, then you can re-block or re-zip all this stuff up. Those blocks, like finding, like I found snow and I found all of those different things. So I just opened them up in Paint and recolored it and then zipped it all back up. But it has to be named the same thing. And so to have it be a certain thing. So if I was looking for, where's that snow? Yeah, so stone.
Wow, lots of things.
Yeah, so that's where, like, I mean, not to get in the nitty gritty of it. And so, yeah, it's kind of a very tinkering. So, like that fire looking a certain color, you associate the recoloring it on each of those, and then it's simply making a GIF of each of those pictures there. Yeah. So I will say that there's a lot that you can start tinkering with. It's not you do it once and it's instantly going to work. I mean, there's a lot of little things of making it happen. But at the same time, it is, and I mean, there's so many things. So, I mean, even as an adult, we can show our students how we learn as well by trial and error, by success or learning from our failures. And it's like, oh, the design process and trying to be like, oh, that didn't work, so I'm going to try something different. And so not letting it just be, well, I need somebody else to tell me it. Like there's a tinkering process into our learning process too. And so modeling that for our students through Minecraft as well, show them that you're learning too. And that's why I told my kids that, I'm learning from them within Minecraft as well.
So now Douglas still wants kind of picture to use as background. I think, Andy, your screenshot of your background is incredible, yeah, that's a beautiful picture for sure. But Douglas, this is the screenshot of Andy's classroom, so you can create yours. You can use it as a background too. I think it's the best way, like, to use your personal space.
I would say, yeah, this is just a picture that I mean in our stream. I changed it. It's like literally there's a green screen behind me that I then selected this image, kind of like in Teams or Zoom or Flipgrid. Now you can import your own background. So I just selected the screenshot from the game to plug in as my background here. So yeah.
Andy, thank you so much, and you keep inspiring, and because you are such an inspiration to your students, to your colleagues, and as you mentioned, you show them the way, how to collaborate, how to exchange with ideas. You mentioned so many, again, inspiring educators who use Minecraft in their teaching spaces, and this is fantastic. I've shared with all of resources with the code. Please do check out the chat. It's going to be live when we end with Andy here talking to you. So we are going to, the chat is going to be live for 5 minutes more. You can look through this and you will definitely find all of the links, the resource collection, the reflection space collection, and the code that you can redeem and grab your points and improve your learning. This is super inspiring. Don't forget to hit the like button over here, subscribe to this channel, and give a shout out on Twitter and on Facebook, wherever you are like a big user of any kind of socials. And I really appreciate, Andy, your time. You spend so much, because Minecraft education is it's a universe, as we mentioned. You told me that before we scheduled this, that, wow, there are lots of things to mention, and you did it really in a really amazing way, because so much information, and you started with your practices, which is the best way. And if you're still struggling with the whole understanding, with all of the features that are in Minecraft, so you should better start with live tutorials. And what else? There are lesson plans that Dr. Michael Harvey mentioned.
Yeah, I would 100% start with the MEC, the Microsoft Educator Center, and that was the very first thing. I went through navigating through that learning path, that lesson learning path there on the Teacher Academy. They have more courses out there on specific worlds, like the chemistry one, Hour of Code. But just for the basic functioning as you get started, 100% to focus in on the Teacher Academy one, just so that you learn the functions of specific blocks and navigating using the boards to be able to document and give direction on things. The MEC, Microsoft Educator Center, an amazing place to start. And then it's get into the game and tinker with it, place blocks and play around. I will say the biggest small little thing here is Minecraft doesn't have an undo button. So there is no Control Z, there is no undo. And so you have to rebuild. So if you break something and you want it to put something back in there, you have to place a new block there. And so there is that component that you learn from those little processes of things too. So get into it, play, copy things, or go through and kind of mimic, replicate people's works, and try different things and learn as you go. Yeah.
And there was one more question from Valery. He asked that he can't get the code because he's in Russia. You know, this Minecraft education is not like for free, or there's no code. I didn't get, Valery. I know that my students play Minecraft. So here, is Minecraft for free or like absolutely free, or?
No, and that's all right. So that's where I was saying in the beginning of check to see, does your school have the licenses for Minecraft Education Edition, especially if they are if you're a Microsoft school, you have accounts that way. See if you have full access to that. However, there are certain worlds at times, like I know the Hour of Code world. At least last year, I'll be honest, I don't know the current status of if the Hour of Code is free, open to everybody, regardless if you have.
I think yes, because I took a part, but not probably Minecraft.
Okay, I was gonna say there are components of it, to be able to get to it, and so so I would definitely check with just see is it accessible for you to get as your school license already. And the big other part is what makes Education Edition nice is that it's secure in the idea that only those with your school email domain can join your world if you host. So only the students in my school email domain can join me in a host world because their email domain matches mine. You can't bridge across other schools and hosting it that way. So that's another big question that people have is, can I join a world that another school elsewhere in the world has made? And I mean, you have to have the same email domain to be able to join theirs.
Fantastic. So it's privacy. The privacy is really great here. It works. And it reminds me like quests. And quests are really popular these days here. I don't know, like across the globe. I think it's a global thing. And I really adore this idea, and especially the boards with the instructions and everything that you mentioned actually here. I need like a day to set all the things a little bit down in my head and my mind, because lots of information. But thank you so much. You've done such a great job, and thank you. Really appreciate your time. I want to say thanks to everyone who joined us. Check out the live chat. Is going to be live for 5 minutes more. And Andy, see you in 5 minutes for a selfie. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Stay safe and stay healthy and stay.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye everyone.